Hey, thank you for taking the time to click on today's video. Today, we want to look at retirees and their money, especially the indebtedness of retirees in America. Today, as an American, we are all concerned about the debt of our country. $35 trillion and ticking upward. It's a big concern, and it's one of the concerns that drives the concern about taxation. We know that with a country having so much debt, it's very likely that down the road they're going to be extracting from us more taxation. That's the whole reason that the required minimum distribution exists. But have you ever thought about the debt that you carry with you into retirement? Debt is one of those things that always makes us a bit of a slave. We know that if we have debt, we have to pay that debt. And we know, especially with debt that is short-term or maybe HELOC, it's going to subject us to the variances within the interest rate market. We know in 2022 and 2023 that interest rates increased by 11 times as the Federal Reserve was trying to bring inflation down. But at the same time, that made living a lot harder for retirees. When we look at the stats of retirees in debt, it's pretty staggering. The first thing that we see is that over 60% of retirees have some form of debt. This could be credit card debt, this could be mortgage debt, this could be debt on an automobile. The list goes on. And even more, even in today's society, we see more and more grandparents strapping themselves with the debt of their grandchildren because of what? School loans. So they're taking on that debt, they're taking on the responsibility because they know that their grandchild simply doesn't have the means to be able to pay that debt. However, when we look at the amount of debt, this is even more staggering. The average retiree is carrying with them into retirement $104,000 worth of debt. When you think about it, that's a lot of debt to be carrying into retirement. This is something that if there was an unexpected passing or if there's an accident, and all of a sudden there's only one spouse that is left, now that one spouse is left with less Social Security money, and yet they still have the same amount of debt. This is called negative implications. And we need to be thinking about that debt and what we can do today in order to pay that debt down. Now, why is that so important? Well, when we think about the average debt today versus the average amount of debt at the time of death, we notice that there's only $40,000 worth of difference. That indicates to me that people are not effectively getting ahead of the debt. They're not taking the means necessary or the strategies necessary to be paying down the debt. Now, maybe they can't really help it because the interest rates have gone up so much that now even the minimum payments are making absolutely no dent in that debt. This is especially true with credit card companies, where today the average interest rate is 17%. But here's why we want to pay down that debt. Not only does it give us financial freedom, but it prevents us from adding to this last staggering statistic. The average American today, from the time that they are born to the time in which they have passed, has paid on average over $279,000 in interest. This is interest on credit cards, this is interest on mortgage, this is interest on short-term debt and automobile debt. So how are we going to make this work? Well, if you have financial retirement savings, consider the fact that one of the ways in which we can invest our money is obviously growth. We can focus on growth or appreciation by investing in things that simply should grow. Do they actually grow? Well, sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. But if we simply pay attention to the objective, what we want from our retirement savings, more times than not, the objective is really income. Now, anything that we can procure in the form of an investment that is focused on growth, we can also get that same kind of investment in something that produces income. Let me give you an example. You can buy stocks that pay no dividends, or you can buy stocks that pay dividends. Now, here's the thing. Ideally, if we want to have as much financial freedom before we get to retirement as possible, we want to pay down that debt if we can. How do we make that happen? We can only work so many hours in the day. We can only put in so much overtime. We can only work so many jobs. Well, the reality is that we can make our money work for us. Let's just pretend for a moment that you have $500,000, and let's just say that that $500,000 in that retirement account is producing 5% in dividends. Well, that 5% in dividends, that's $25,000 of real income. That's income that you can withdraw off from that $500,000. And guess what? You never touch the principal. So if your number one goal is to pay that debt down before you get to retirement, or if you've found yourself in retirement and you're still dealing with that debt and you're trying to figure out how can I get this debt paid down as quickly as possible for the sake of my retirement and potentially the peace of mind of my surviving spouse, then I ask you to consider income producing investments. Simply focusing more so on the I can not only make your money safer, but it can create income for you that you can withdraw so that you can pay down this debt. You can reduce the debt load and the amount of interest that you've paid over your lifetime, and you can have the retirement of your dreams. Something that is not causing indebtedness, something that's not chaining you to interest and having to make those payments every single month. Something that's truly giving you the peace of mind to know that the assets that you own them outright. That's the best kind of assets to own in retirement. I'm Matthew Johnson. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy these little videos, we always encourage you to give us a thumbs up. Click that little bell and that little subscribe and share this video with your friends. Maybe this is a message that's not for you, but it could be a message that is useful for one of your friends. So I encourage you to share it. So again, in closing, thank you so much for watching. And remember, it's up to you to make today a great day.